We will call the workshop to order, August 28, 2023. We have 4 things on the agenda tonight. The first topic is the ability to change the spending limit. I included an ordinance for the lakeside in your packet. State law was changed, which not only raised the bid limit up to $25,000, but a different change allows the commission to delegate to the city manager up to $25,000 in spending, whereas now we're at $10,000. So I'm presenting this just FYI. If the commission wants to go that route, can let us know. Our current practice seems to be working okay. It does add some slowdowns, especially on facility repairs in general, air conditioners. Most of those seem to come in the $10,000 to $20,000 range, and it takes up to 2 weeks to get in front of y'all to then get approval to make the expenditure. That would be the strongest reason to consider it, in my opinion. Would be if we have an air conditioner down, it needs to get fixed. We don't need to wait 2 weeks to start the process. But I do think generally our approach is pretty transparent. I bring everything to y'all. Again, just presenting this as informational purposes. Sam sent this over because Lakeside and Sawyer are looking at raising the.
Didn't we not just change this not long ago from 20?
The bid.
You changed just the bid. So state law went from having bid everything over 10,000 to having to bid everything over 25. This is an additional change state law did so that you could delegate that 10 to 25 range to the city manager he chose.
In your example, air conditioning, to me, that's an emergency fix. I don't think you have to wait for the city commission to make.
It depends on the level, but yes, we can determine like a down unit, but we have some ductwork, for instance, that's damaged and it's causing some condensation. It's not an emergency, but it does create a delay in our initial 2 bids from the $19,000 or $20,000 range. We looked at some other options. But again, this is FYI for your consideration. If the commission decides they want to go that route, you can let us know.
Okay.
I'm probably not advocating for it strongly, I'm letting you know you would have that option if you want to. If there's no discussion, we'll move on to the library. So the Vice Mayor asked us to add this to the agenda to discuss.
Yeah, so, I mean, we had a presentation from the library staff, and they were talking about the usage and fees, and, you know, I think the goal was for a lot of the libraries going to a fee-free. And so I went to Jeff Eversole because I asked the county for $15,000, and which we got. And honestly, I'd like to see us drop that because you brought that down 30% of the fees.
Correct. So last year we received $44,239 in library card dues for Hamilton County residents that were non-College Dale citizens. So we reduced the fee structure by a third rounded. So individual card went from $60 to $42, family card went from 85 to 60. A senior individual card went from 50 to 35, and a senior family card went from 65 to 45.50, which was a third. It was almost $1 down.
Okay. I'd like to see us eventually get to free sooner than later. And I know that, Katie, you're serving on the library, so I'm not speaking for you or anybody else, but I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts. But I'd like to see us go ahead and drop it down to 50%. And I'll bring that up in the next board meeting we have. I just think it's fair. I mean, honestly, we have funds available, we can cover it. Right?
I mean,
We got 16 million in the
everything is a balance, but yes, we could cover it. I mean, that additional
Yeah.
$10,000 would not be spent somewhere else, but it could be allocated for reducing to say 50%. I have some trepidation going to free until the county steps up their contribution to much closer to even. There are some thoughts that memberships would increase if we went to free. And so if we went to free and the county gave us, say, 25 or 45 for it, that the usage would then exceed that contribution.
And I have already asked Jeff for 30,000 next year. And I would like for us to partner together. And then I know we're looking at building onto the library. Maybe we can go in 50-50 on the build of the additional 1,000 square feet of the county. Again, it benefits them as it does us. And we really don't charge Hamilton County residents for using our facilities and for the fireworks and, greenways and what else we have going on. But anyway, we don't, playgrounds, we just don't charge for stuff like that. And the more I thought about it, it's really one of those, we should not take it away for people who want to use it. And maybe they're challenged financially right now because a lot of people are. And I'd like to see us kind of take that step.
Get closer to free.
50% would be great. I know that we moved it down to 30% on 8/1. And I'd like to, see if we can do that at the upcoming meeting.
Well, it's an administrative decision, so we don't have to wait till the next meeting necessarily.
We brought that up when I was doing the planning on the library. It was brought up about us going to no fees.
Well, there's a difference between the fine-free and then the buying the library card. So it's my understanding, we're just discussing buying the library card.
Yes.
We're not discussing removing the fees.
I mean, if you're late with a library book or whatever, those fees, whether you're the city of Collegeville resident, right? You get fined.
How many do you have coming in, and how do you see it increasing if we didn't charge for it?
Well, we do see about probably 5 to 10 a week really that come in. Some of them are fine with paying the fee, and some of them late, and so they just can't afford it. But of course, we look at it as the Collegeville patrons are really actually paying for their library card with their property taxes. So it's not really free for anybody even. So we just let the county residents know that, until now, we haven't had any input from the county to put in money. So.
I agree with a lot of these points about trying to get down to free. It is one of the perks, though, of being a taxpayer that you don't have to pay that additional membership. That's something the county does since they're not a city resident. I'd like to put another idea on the table and see if the county would be open to letting us have the Little Davie Parkway ball fields as a trade for free county membership to the library.
I'll ask.
No, we
I would
have
be
that fight.
more than shocked.
We really did that.
Yeah, I'm clear there's some history, but it's an idea to put out there that put another library out there for county residents if they would let us have full control of the facility that's in our city.
I can ask, but I'm not optimistic.
It took us long enough just to get the library built. Because I've been asking for that since 2010.
But there is a lot of
We just
new,
got it in the last few months.
well, and that's under some new county leadership too. You never
That's
know.
true.
It's worth a shot.
Well, never hurts to ask.
Exactly.
I'll reach out to Commissioner Eversol tomorrow and ask the question, and I'll include it Friday, what response I get.
Okay.
And I'll also coordinate with Eric the amount of time we'll spend mowing.
Yeah, my question is, what's the benefit of having 100% ownership of it versus partnership with the county on the ball fields?
It's real estate acquisition. I mean, we can definitely do some pros and cons on it.
Off the top of my head, it would be mainly just so that our residents would have access to fields quicker or more frequently.
We ran into that when we did, just over here at the Ooltewah. You know, we ran into that, the deal was our citizens were gonna be able to use it, and there was a lot of, I remember the calls I got and everything, it was governed by the Ooltewah Association, and they were kind of neglecting us, the college show residents, which I didn't think was fair, but we basically picked up the tab on that. And, so I think my point is that there's got to be a balance somewhere. You know, they need to contribute somewhere somehow.
That can also open up future discussions if we wanted to add different amenities out there to include basketball or other items. If it was something they're willing to discuss.
I think it's going to be hard, to be honest with you, because we've dealt with them for so long, but still it never,
It will not hurt to be rejected.
no, it's not like the first
That
time.
is absolutely fine.
That's valid.
It's not like that.
Look how long it's taken us to try to get that road going into the ball fields and Summit. I mean, we've asked for that for years. And-
Well, that's City of Chattanooga. Meridian
Well,
is Chattanooga. But yes, to your point, at least 7+ years, and we inspected last construction and everything.
So Vice Mayor, question, when, in your dialogue with Commissioner Eversole, what were his feelings on the library fees? Given the $15,000 contribution, is he content with where it's at now, or is he asking that fee be lowered?
He's asking to be lowered to 50%.
Okay, so I think if we were to do so, then that's a step forward, a goodwill step for us that allows you to go back and ask for $30,000 next year.
I've already asked for it,
Okay,
but it will help the cause.
okay. I think that makes all the sense in the world. We've got to work together on this.
So, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, how many are, because I know when we first started this, I was teaching elementary school, a lot of the teachers use the library to fill and rotate books in the room as a library. Because most of the libraries, they improve some, but not much. In Hamilton County school system, they were really behind on books and things to keep their libraries up to standard. So we had implemented that, because I think it's 30 books, do you still do that? That they can, the teacher come in and collect, and then loan them out to the kids for a classroom, for them to read and so forth, and then rotate, so that gives them a variety, which teachers love. It helps with the cost of things in the room and provide for the kids, because the school libraries, Appleton has a very good library. It's still not where it should be, according to guidelines for education. That's all the libraries in Hamilton County.
So a question regarding consensus then. If the county is open to giving us the ball fields back, the commission would entertain that with the pros and cons and be very willing to go to 0 fees in perpetuity for the library. If they are not, are we still open to finding the extra $10,000 and going to a 50% reduction?
Yeah.
Yes.
I would like to see us go down as much as we dare,
Yeah.
because I think it's important for young children to be able to have access to books.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a thing too, set my age. A lot of kids don't understand about it, so they go to the library, so forth, everything's on computer now.
Mhm.
And they need to know that feel of being able to sit down and read and actually learn to read, and there's something about holding a book in your hand.
Mhm.
And, gaining knowledge. And I don't want to lose that, because actually computers are not personal.
My grandkids are at the library right now.
Follow-up question. So when we do a budget amendment at the end of the year, that comes out of our pot of money, correct?
It does.
So this 10,000, you don't have to find per se, right? It could
Or
come.
extra revenues. Or, if we
Yeah.
under budget or revenue.
It is an unbudgeted expense that we can cover.
Okay.
But we
Okay.
always have to be careful with unbudgeted expenses.
Yeah, I got it. But we have those every year.
Right, we do. If we lose an air conditioner, that's going to be $22,000 that was unbudgeted.
Yeah.
To your point. Okay, so it's pretty clear on what marching orders are. So number 3 on the agenda is bound fireworks discussion. I talked to the assistant chief today. We had 2 complaints last year this year regarding fireworks, and then 5 the year before. And so what our thoughts were is that we would roll out a community survey tomorrow that run for probably 2 weeks, asking citizens, do you want us to ban fireworks, yes, no, or neutral? And then based on those results, come to the commission with what citizens want.
How many positives did you get? I mean, you're talking 2 people, right, versus how many?
Not our fireworks, just people shooting off
Oh,
fireworks. in the
shoot,
neighborhood.
shoot.
Within the city of Collegeville.
Right.
I think it's more or less a good, because I know the kids in my neighborhood do it. And it is irritating when they do it 2 in the morning. I think there should be a cutoff time, because kids and families alike, they have block parties and shoot them off. But some of them get into the rocket battles that they normally get into.
We do have noise ordinances and things like that, and that might be a second question you can put is if you're not in favor of a full ban, would you be in favor of a ban past, I'll pick a time, between 11 and 6 a.m.?
I think just a curfew, maybe on time.
So we got the email from Becky. Or you happen to be Becky?
No, that's,
But-
Ms. Ringwood is in
Oh.
Bowling Green.
Sorry. I asked her to come to the meeting today to listen to this discussion, but honestly, I always thought we had a ban because it's banned in Hamilton County as a whole.
We've got a city ordinance, I don't know if it's fireworks specific, but it has to do with missiles and things like that, which one fireworks fall in that category. And then your exploding fireworks will fall under the noise complaint category, city manager will bring it up. So I don't know if they specifically mentioned fireworks, but it falls in those categories.
We didn't find anything. It doesn't mean that it didn't get passed in 1986, we just simply can't find it.
Well, I know that my former neighbors where we used to live, they would almost block the entire road and they had probably $500 to $1,000 worth of fireworks. And every year I had the big bottle rockets, I'm gonna call them missiles with the wooden sticks. A lot of those were on top of our house. And so either I had to wait for the wind or rain or I had to go up there and get it. There are some risks. I agree that the fireworks could cause, if it hits a tree and it catches a tree on fire and it's dry outside. But if Hamilton County bans, it looks like we should, we're under their county ordinance, I guess, on that. Although we're separate, I don't know if we could say we're gonna cover them, in the city.
I thought they were legal in Hamilton
I
County.
thought they were too.
That, out in the county, they are, it's the ordinance that starts, creating the strictness of it. Narrows it down a little bit more.
Oh, so they can have it in the county.
That's my understanding, but they get followed just as much as we do, that's just been kind of the common practice when we have 4th of July or New Year's, is the complaints come in, go ahead and the supervisor just roll out some information, but it has not been that much apparently, according to the last 2 years.
When I requested to put it on the workshop, it's because HOA had contacted me. I think there's not a police cause for it because neighbors don't want to call the police on their neighbors. So they went another avenue. But when we do the survey, instead of are we going to do questions too? Like, would you support just a ban or would you be in favor of like a 10 p.m. curfew on July 4th? Can we have a few more options on the
We
survey?
can go with a couple in that
Okay.
vein. I still think it'd be a pretty simplistic survey. And to be really direct about it, if they don't call in to report it with an ordinance or not, PD's probably not going to go over there and do anything. Someone's gonna have to call and complain, but having an ordinance would give them a tool if that person did call and complain. So we'll take that path, and then we'll roll out the survey, see what the results are, and then share those with the commission. It'd be interesting to see if they're strong one way or the other, or if there's any clear leader, and they go forward. I think really from a city management administration standpoint, it just doesn't really matter. It's gonna come down to complaints before we start enforcing.
Especially after 10 o'clock is the noise ordinance anyway, so.
And that's probably a 10 or 11 cutoff is probably a better way to thread the needle than an all-out ban.
So I know if they were out off of High Street and Robertson Farms, as soon as you cross over to Robertson Farms, that's Collegedale. You go right out of it, and that's the county. So people along the side that, of Pine Street, they'll shoot off fireworks, and there's some beautiful displays that they do, but they're out for jurisdiction. And it is loud, you know, when it comes up, so people get 2 years here and there. You know, it does get a little bit annoying when they start a week early. You know,
And a week late,
Yeah.
especially when it rains or something.
Okay. We'll run our survey. Right.
When you speak of the noise ordinance, Mort, I'm just warning you now, you're gonna get some phone calls. I get them every year from a couple of individuals that refuse to give me their name and their number because they don't want anybody to know they're the ones that are complaining.
Okay.
And it's about the haunted house out in the country. It's just barely in Collegedale.
And to your point, we receive a lot of complaints about that. Fireworks pale in comparison to
Yeah.
that.
I've noticed because when I first moved off McDonald Road, the first couple of years, that was really loud. I mean, you could hear all the noise of the ghost and the witches and everything else, the amplification. But now, over the last 4 or 5 years, we don't really hear much of anything. It seems as if the volumes come way down.
Good, you can tell her that.
But we live, a mile away too. So I can understand why the people on close don't like the traffic and the noise
And my understanding is there may be some changes that occurred this year, so we'll need to wait and see how big and enthusiastic it's going to be.
And out of curiosity, do we get any of the revenue from the sales? Because I know those are big money makers. I don't know what this one generates, but it's been around a long time.
It goes for 4 weekends.
Do they have a business?
We checked.
They have a
we checked on
business
that
permit?
Are they required?
Last year, the year before. Well, we talked about
We
that.
got
too.
into a big round
Yeah.
of legal and.
They make more than 50,000 a year, I think it's supposed to. Get one of these.
Well, they're more complicated because of, is it because of the agricultural thing?
Correct. It's an agricultural thing. It's a haunted barn. So it's an agricultural activity, which is protected as a right to farm state. I'm not suggesting that it's honestly an agricultural activity. But remember, Tennessee calls helicopter rides an agricultural activity. So we got into a big circle with legal and that we don't have a clear enforcement manual. And that's usually the conclusion that we come up with every couple of 3 years. So, but we'll see how that goes this year too.
I mean, it seems as if there was a roadside business selling fireworks or whatever, that we would be able to get a cut on that. It's just kind of amazing that we don't.
It's not retail sales. So it's a service. It's super complicated and very unclear.
Yeah.
Intentionally.
Understood.
Moving on to rules for city parks and greenways. In your packet, you'll see the proposed rules that staff have put together and used for the survey. If you look at the survey results, by and large, the community either strongly agreed, or was neutral. I didn't notice any that we were majorly off base on the community results. So if the commission generally is in agreement, we'll have an ordinance written to enact all of these. The biggest question or feedback that we received really had to do with enforcement. As you know, we don't have bicycle officers riding the Greenway continually and that sort of thing. So most of the enforcement is going to come down to complaint-based again, similar to ours, that we had that prohibition. But it would be enforced on a complaint basis, but we would have a specific ordinance for the officers to use rather than a, hey, there's a sign there that says you can't do that, but nothing back.
Can I get a copy of that packet, please?
Yes.
I'd be concerned that we might need to put in an exception for city staff to be able to have golf carts and
So the
something
ordinance
for
will say
removing
that,
trash.
Will absolutely have exceptions for maintenance, city staff, et cetera.
Okay.
Emergencies.
Emergencies, all that. It will simply be for community patrons utilizing it for recreational purposes. So,
Okay.
But yes, emergency response and city staff will be excluded. And it'll probably be a line that simple. It says emergency responders and city staff are excluded.
The one thing I think we need to really clarify for our staff, so if people are walking and they're going down the Greenway when we do this, and they're in the golf cart or whatever, I've heard that the carts don't pull off, the people have to step off the sidewalk. I just want to make sure we're aware of that, and
So staff is much better at that. There is, from the complaints we've received, and I'll let Christina speak up if I'm wrong. There is one individual in particular that doesn't like to pull off. And it's that person.
That is not a staff member.
yeah, no, I know there's other people. I just want to make sure our staff knows.
Yes,
to do it.
and our staff is continually reminded to be conscientious to pull off as best you can. Same thing with Public Works, when they're going to go clear mud and that sort of things. So, is there any other feedback on that?
You know, I had never noticed, I hadn't been around very much in the evenings when they'd be playing pickleball. And I could never figure out why they complain about hearing it all through the valley. And now, last evening, I know now why they complain.
There is
Because I
really,
finally heard it. You know, it was early evening, but still, it just echoed and echoed. And so I can understand now why we need to cut it off at a certain time.
some evenings when humidity is just right, it carries very long distance.
Is there a way for us to put some, I know it's got like a screen up. Is there something thicker we could put up to kind of,
We could get more aggressive with landscaping, but then we get into a situation that's right there on the creek bank, so it'll mess that up. But some green giants planted big would be about the only thing that comes to my mind without building an enclosed structure. I don't think anyone's ready for that.
no, but I was thinking maybe there's some type of outdoor barrier
We can look.
that are fabric of some type that's outdoor based to cover it.
And really, this issue,
Without having anything above it, the height you have out there, the sound's gonna carry over. what you
Okay.
put out there.
and this issue is drawing national attention. It's not just a College Hill issue, it's a nationwide issue.
There was an article in the Washington Post recently about it, about the complaints that come in from pickleball courts.
Do we have something in here, I was reading this that I read through, I'm sorry.
Finished.
I mean, I see where on the pickleball, you got some things here. What about vandalism? That they're not allowed to add things to it without, everything has to come through the Parks and Recreation and the zoning and whatever?
That would fall under typical vandalism, and that's how we addressed it previously.
Okay.
Was you're not allowed to vandalize and damage property.
And I think they should be made aware too that they'll be held responsible for it, and paying for the damage. Because it's not fair to the other taxpayers have to pick up because somebody gets angry and they take it upon themselves to do things without first going through, we ourselves have to go through to get permission to do so.
I agree with you, and that's the approach we took with the sunshade.
And I think the 99%, they're wanting to do it right. It's that 1% that's causing the problem.
It's like everything.
Yeah.
beat to a different drum, and they're just kind of. not
Rules
making
written
much.
for the bad actors, not the bulk of users.
Yeah.
It's a small percentage that costs almost all.
Well, I guess the thing is this, I've noticed I've seen a lot of the same people playing out there about how, is it just a first comes, first served, and they get to reserve the court?
There is no reserve or tournaments. It's first come, first served, but then they rotate through paddles so that you have to rotate courts.
Like, cause I, like, one person's not hogging it for like 6 hours.
Any more questions? All right, and we'll go around the room. We can start with Gina, library. Anything you want to announce?
I believe so.
Okay.
It's just, having a lot of programs, new staff, doing really well on their Facebook account. And, yeah, offering more programs, more family, programs that have been well received during the summer. So we're going to continue it through the fall and see how we go. We have our big event coming up in October, our escape room event that we do for Halloween. So, yeah, yeah, we're almost fully staffed. I just need a 20-hour person. So
Awesome.
otherwise, everything's filled.
Assistant Chief?
We've got a couple of guys, in FTO, the SRO doing really well. We've got another one that's we've got 3 of them currently in FTO. One's about to be released here very soon. Our national night out is, October 28th, that's what we said, October 28th, national night out. Bring your family, bring your friends. Corey and Neil's doing a good job putting that all together. Other than that, nothing else.
Awesome.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Ryan, airport?
So we received approval from the state to do the underground storage tank project, so we'll reach out locally to y'all, to y'all to get approval from the local level, and we'll get it scheduled for construction. Also, very excited to welcome one of Food City's corporate pilots who's going to conduct operations at the airport. So we're excited to have him as well.
Christina?
So I don't know if it's raining or not, but unfortunately the rain has not been nice to us lately. And we've had to reschedule both our fishing and our putt-putt in the park twice now. So we're hoping to get those rescheduled soon. The next big thing that we have is we just put out the release for the Fairy Tale Fall. So we've got that coming up in September, and then of course Wizard School, which is always a big hit, and already starting stuff for Christmas.
My granddaughter wants to be in on that fairy tale fall ball.
Registration opens on the 1st.
And she's made that very clear.
Here, those works.
Main thing is we are fully staffed and we've had some really good rehires recently, so we're really looking forward to keeping them for a long time.
Awesome. Michelle?
Nothing to add tonight.
Commissioner Sadler?
So Little Debbie Park, I noticed after we've done the opening and the picture and everything, recently I noticed there's now a corporate logo down there on the sign. Do we know that that was going to be put on there?
We did.
Is that okay to have that on city property?
Yes, that was a big conversation during design, and so they are responsible for all maintenance of that.
Of just the sign or the park now too?
All of the branded items. So anything that has a corporate logo, that tells the story of the family or the corporation, or is the fudge round or the Christmas tree, all of that, the corporation is responsible for maintaining.
At some point, are we going to put a city seal on the sign too, so it's clear that it's city property?
No plan to now. I understand your concern and agree with it. That sign is not necessarily in keeping with some of the others throughout the city and the motif that we were going with, but it was part of the donation. And but to your point, they have to maintain anything that's corporately branded.
Okay, that's all I have today.
Really?
I don't have anything other than to say thank you to everybody.
Commissioner Baker?
No, that's it.
That look. Well, Greenways, what are we doing with Greenways this year?
So we have the short extension plan off of Edgeman after, as part of the construction fixing the pothole.
So from Misty Valley,
Correct, those last few homes, once we fix that pothole.
and that's all we're doing this year?
And behind that 5,
Yeah,
to that,
we're doing that connection, that ADA ramp got very expensive very quickly to get up to the restrooms.
and the parking lot over by the Nature Nook and EDC and all that. Those are the 3.
Okay, I think that, I really think the city really needs to look at continuing to do some of these other projects. I think it's,
Are you still advocating for the one across the town hall?
I'm advocating for that or Talent Road, either one, because number one, we've got to get people, I know there's other opportunities for us, and I understand that. I think that one of the things that we're going to have to bite the bullet on is get across the Talent property through the easement and give people a way to, because you can't continue to put everybody in this area.
And we're topographically limited as a city, and that side of the city is not connected by the greenway. And after this year or next, most of the low-hanging, simple projects are going to have been completed. And we're left with higher dollar projects, big projects.
I get it, yeah, I get it. I just think we need to make sure that we truly get a focus on that. And I'm still there with the parks. You know, I know that the pocket parks that we talked about over the last 4 or 5 years, I think that would help ease some of the congestion here, because on a nice sunny day that's, you know, anywhere below 95 degrees, it's absolutely packed. So,
So we'll continue to brainstorm. We have applied for several grants that haven't been awarded for some small park redos. We do still have, is it 5 acres, 8 acres off of Edgeman that make a decent park. You can't build any structures or bathroom houses, but access is very limited because of the creek.
I'm concerned about that. I just don't think that's a good choice for us. I think it's a safety issue, and no restrooms. I think the parking's going to be a challenge to get people in off that little right of way.
That will absolutely be a challenge. That's just, we own the property.
I get
It
it.
was originally.
It was given to us, yeah.
To be a park specifically. But to your point, there's a reason why it was donated. And there's a reason why that was, 30 years ago?
Yeah, and I don't know how much that floods in there.
Right. It's wet.
Well, yeah, it doesn't necessarily flood, it's low-lying areas, so to be able to put anything in there, your infrastructure cost is gonna be a lot. The main thing is the fact that you're gonna have a 300-foot driveway. You know, that's 150 grand right there. So
Easily.
it's easily, with clearing everything else, parking lot, yeah, you're talking $500,000 to get something started.
Yeah, I know that I've mentioned a couple of properties I was looking, you know, trying to see if we can make some deals with, but I think we need to look at some of that still. And it's not just on that side. I mean, even out toward University out Camp Road, there's maybe some property out there we could look at, but
As you turn right, you look, it's like on the right in front of, what is that, Camp Road and, Church Prospect.
Oh.
It's been vacant for a long time. You know what I'm talking about?
There's a couple, there's a right at 40-acre tract over there and a 23-acre tract, I believe. Those are topographically challenging as well.
Yeah.
And parking is very difficult as well. We'll continue to look.
I just think we need to get kind of a strategy on some of this, because fitness has been growing in all the cities. We've grown, but not as rapidly as some other cities on this, getting parks and stuff up and going. And I don't want to fall too far behind. In my eyes, we have a little bit, because it's kind of not grown. And we've pushed everybody here to the center of town.
Yes.
What happened to, the company that we were working with, that they do the the bicycles, and we were making the path to the Greenway to go all the way downtown, up over, Brinkley and all the way through, so that we were connecting so that they could just hook here and.
Like Chattanooga?
Yeah, but they were gonna bring it, at one time we discussed, it's been a few years ago, they were gonna come out, we had talked about, extending up around where, what is the, old landfill behind the Waverly, is that right? And, they were coming, because they were wanting sidewalks down through Warmingo Road, but we know that that's
Wells.
Wellesley, thank you. Waverly's down in Rossville, yeah. So we were talking about that, and there was a lot of talk about the company coming out, part of Chattanooga activities, bicycling, so forth, and then it just died. So I don't know why it died.
I'm not sure. I'm
They
not,
would come out, but it's like the bicycles they have downtown.
It was
They
probably
ran
like
and-
8
and-
years ago.
They were gonna connect it in through the ball field.
Yeah, they were gonna connect it somewhere, and they haven't done it.
I vaguely remember some conversations when I first started,
Yeah.
which would have been on the tail end of those, trying to come off of the ballpark and into the back of Greenbrier. Greenbrier was absolutely opposed to it at the time. And Wellesley wanted to, and there were some concerns about the methane wells on the old landfill.
Yeah,
And that's all I know about it, because, I came in basically after conversations were over. But I've not heard anything in the last 7 years here. So-
Well, long story short, we need to do something.
We need to do
with
something.
Greenway.
Um,
Now, I know there's we have talked what you're talking about. Now, there was the path up through to the ball fields. And then on out, connect that to our greenway. And I'm still in favor of that. I'd like to see us find a new route to get up there. Just see if anything else is feasible versus always going through somebody's backyard. I know it's a challenge, but maybe we can do something. But
Some areas though, they really like that, when you have your home strip on the greenway, it shoots your property values way up, because you have the ability to have a direct on the greenway and take off, and most of the data says that there's not an increase in break-ins or robberies or anything like that.
Yeah. But the greenways I'm talking about on the other side of the town is, I think we are going to have to make a decision as a city to fund this and move forward with it. So,
As we roll into the budget conversations over the winter, let's have a conversation amongst the commission on where they'd like to prioritize certain projects. We can brainstorm on at a future commission meeting when the staff has a chance to be a little better prepared.
Yeah.
And then,
no, I'm just throwing it out as a,
and then decide how much we're willing to spend if we can get off the ground.
I mean, I think, like you said, over there, on the other side, but also, there's a selling point for Robertson Farms, that the Greenway's gonna be connected. Of course, the railroad was the big issue there, because they were gonna have to come through the mountain. But if there was some way to connect the Greenway to the backside of Robertson Farms, there are more children there, which reminds me. Are the police gonna come out this year in October on Halloween and do like they've done in the past, because they haven't in the last couple of years?
The department kind of got away from that, a couple of years ago. We were just talking about this topic last week. I'd like to see them get out there. We have not come to a consensus on it yet, but it is something we're talking about.
Okay, because I mean, we got a lot more younger children out there now.
Yes, ma'am.
We also have some motorcyclists that want to go at 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. A nice couple, but
I enjoyed being out there myself. I remember when we did that, but from the other side of that conversation, a lot of the stuff that we would do in regards to going to neighborhoods, we were doing with National Night Out at that same time frame. So
Okay.
they kind of transitioned from doing neighborhoods to National Night Out. So we're still having a discussion.
I mean, even if they control,
Yes.
and I mean, we're out in that little area, would be, I sit on my front porch the whole time, because I'm in Candyland. And, but and I tell them, we look for the police. I mean, if they just, somebody would drive and blow a horn,
Yes.
that would tickle them. That's something, because I've noticed that us getting away from that community.
We used to do that with the fire department. We kind of go in tandem with the fire department to different
And then they stopped, used to be parked at the end of the road, or the entrance, because it's just one way in and one way out. But that's something that drives the children, it eases the parents, it helps with security, you know. That's just me. You know.
I think that's it.
Mayor?
I would totally concur with Vice Mayor. I think we need to start discussion and let's set up a strategy. Let's set up some goals for where we want to take our greenways moving forward. Because I do feel like the east side of town has been neglected. We've certainly not done anything there like what we've done here. I think what we've done here is wonderful. I think the west side is represented well, but I think we need to start dialogue as to what the future is going to look like. Where do we want to go? What shape does this need to take? I'm a little confused as to what TDOT is doing with the widening of Babson Pike, because I'm seeing new sidewalks going in, but are they trails to nowhere? If so, how can we tie into those?
So, there will be sidewalks down both sides of the new phase of Babson Pike. There is an extension of the Greenway through Kiwanis Park, seesaw back and forth up to the old roadway up towards College Drive. Which is one thing Eric and I have talked about, that there will be significant more maintenance when that comes online in the next 18 months too. But, okay.
We want a lot more growth out there.
Yeah.
We need something out there.
We do. And the citizens are becoming more vocal about that. So I think we need to certainly address it. And let's develop a plan. And next thing, I know we've approved the engineering work for the parking lot. Are we viewing this as a 6-month completed project, or what, any idea on timeline?
I would expect to start construction probably March. By the time we get engineering permits in hand, we'll be in bad weather. And so we would start in the spring. It's real hard to start any construction after November, before early March. It's just too wet. And with the soil concerns over there and how boggy that area tends to stay, it'll be very hard to mobilize and get in there and do any earthwork. And so, yeah.
So possibly it'd be finished by the time we have our fireworks.
I would really like to do that. A goal of a June opening.
Let me ask, how much progress have we had, I know, with the backing in to the parking up here from the commons? You think maybe we put a sign that says just park forward, they might go in backwards?
Some days it feels that way, honestly. Eric's ordered the materials to go ahead and install pumps through the center line of the road with standing bollards. Once we do that, it will be much more difficult to cross over accidentally, even though they get out and look at the signs and snatch the children along because they know they did it incorrectly. And so after that, we'll start a education initiative with PD to get it through.
Refresh my memory, please. Does it really matter, because they're gonna park the way they want to actually. Would it be better just to leave and just take the signs down about parking backwards?
It is exponentially more dangerous with them angling in. They're backing into traffic and letting children into traffic. We've had the email and near miss. It is absolutely much more dangerous. And my opinion is we need to.
Start writing tickets or anything, or warnings?
We haven't yet, but our thought process was, again, once we take away the I didn't know excuse, we'll start through a warning education initiative and then move into a firmer push.
You know, you could possibly too try to get a grant with the city orders to, they like to run an experiment to see about the backing, you know, a little experiment, like they'll see if they'll fund it to get money for the city, about doing a reverse thing, say, you know, if they will actually like say, oh, we're not gonna, back in, so much will actually do it and get the statistics, send it in and say, okay, we want a grant for this study. I mean,
I
somebody
think
did a grant to study a bug, how they made
I agree, but I think just going forward on our path now will be the most direct.
I'm reaching out there.
I understand. I don't want to have a year-long grant study and just push it pretty hard.
Final item I've got is, where are we on the Parks and Rec building? How are things proceeding?
Michelle went today.
Yeah.
Looked at it, go through it. We're having
It's
basically
almost-
punch list in our sidewalk
Yeah.
for the ADA connection. And then we'll start moving in.
Yeah, they're putting
The painting.
putting some final touches on paint and
Yep.
and whatnot today. It's looking really good, so.
Are
it's
you
good.
planning an open house?
I'm just ready to get in it.
Yeah.
We're ready to get in it, start getting everything
Okay.
organized and over there. So
Okay, good.
we're excited that's starting to move along a little bit faster now, so.
Good.
What will, if we use the space that they're in now, how will we use that?
Not sure yet what the best option is.
That's just use some storage space down there. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've been down.
Yeah, there's basically 2 rooms down there. But so whenever we move out, we're actually emptying the shed that is a standalone out there. So we're gonna see what we can get all into this building over here. There might be some stuff that we'll ask to leave down there in the basement at the EDC, but we're hoping to get everything into the building.
Well, that's all I've got.
Can I ask one more question? Sidewalks on the Greenway, or the Greenway. They're 8 feet today, is that?
Currently, there.
I'd like to see us move it to 12 on future. I know it's more expense, but
I wouldn't oppose that. State of practice has moved to at least 12 in most places.
and if you go out there and look at some of the cities and stuff, you'll see that it's always I don't know why it is, everybody walks 4 by 4, and then somebody's got to step off, and, somebody's going to either twist their ankle or something like that, and not that it's happened a whole lot that we've seen, but it's just, I think it gives more size for people and freedom to walk by people.
Anything else?
That's it.
We're adjourned.